In the quiet hills of rural Kentucky, where the sun rose slow over fields of golden corn and the air carried the sweet scent of fresh earth, lived a young woman named Emily Thompson. She was 24, with soft curves that society often judged harshly. Emily had always been on the heavier side, her body a map of gentle rolls and full cheeks that blushed easily. In her small town of Willow Creek, folks whispered about her. Not out of meanness, exactly, but out of that old habit of measuring worth by waistlines. Emily's family ran the local general store, a dusty place filled with canned goods and farming tools. Her father, Harold, was a stern man with calloused hands and a quick temper. He believed in hard work and slim figures, the kind that fit into Sunday dresses without a tug. Emily, though, loved baking pies and reading novels by the window, her mind wandering to far-off places. She didn't fit his ideal. And when she turned down a marriage proposal from the banker, a skinny fellow who only wanted her family's land, Harold saw it as the last straw. One crisp autumn morning, as leaves turned red and orange like flames on the trees, Harold called Emily into the kitchen. The room smelled of coffee and bacon, but the air felt heavy. "Emily," he said, his voice low and firm, "you've brought shame on this family. Too picky, too big. The town talks. So, I've arranged something, a punishment, if you will. You're to marry Jack Harlan, the poor farmer out on the edge of town." Emily's heart sank like a stone in the creek. Jack Harlan? She knew of him vaguely, a quiet man in his 30s, with weathered skin and a battered truck. Folks said he scraped by on a tiny plot, growing just enough to eat. No one visited his farm, it was too far out, too forgotten. "But father?" she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. "Why him? What did I do to deserve this?" Harold shook his head. "It's done. Pack your things. The wedding's in a week. Maybe rough living will teach you some humility." Emily spent that week in a haze. She packed her few dresses, her favorite books, and a quilt her mother had sewn before passing away years ago. The town buzzed with gossip. "Poor Emily," they said at the diner, "stuck with that broke farmer. It's like being banished." She felt the weight of their pity, heavier than her own body. Nights, she lay awake, staring at the ceiling, imagining a life of dirt floors and empty cupboards. How would she survive? She wasn't strong like the farm wives she knew. Her hands were soft from turning pages, not plowing fields. The wedding day came under a gray sky, threatening rain. It was a simple affair at the town hall, with just a handful of witnesses. Emily wore a plain white dress that hugged her curves a bit too tight. Jack stood there in a clean shirt and jeans, his hat in his hands. He was taller than she remembered, with kind blue eyes and a gentle smile that didn't quite reach them. "Hello, Emily," he said softly, his voice like gravel under boots. "I promise I'll treat you right." She nodded, her throat tight. The judge read the vows quickly, and just like that, they were man and wife. No kiss, no cheers. Jack helped her into his old truck, and they drove out of town. The road wound through forests and pastures, the trees whispering secrets as they passed. Emily clutched her quilt, fighting back sobs. This was her punishment, exiled to poverty because she didn't fit the mold. The farm appeared at the end of a long dirt lane, hidden behind a grove of oaks. It looked modest at first, a weathered barn, a small house with peeling paint, chickens pecking in the yard. No fancy cars, no signs of wealth. Jack parked and opened her door, his movements slow and careful. "Welcome home," he said, offering a hand. She took it, her palm sweaty against his rough one. Inside, the house was clean but sparse. A wooden table, a stove, a bed in the corner room. No frills. Jack showed her around quietly. "Kitchen's here. Bedroom's yours for now. I'll sleep on the couch till you're ready." His words hung in the air, gentle, not pushing. Emily nodded, unpacking her things with trembling hands. That first night, as rain pattered on the tin roof, she cried into her pillow. The house creaked like an old friend settling in. She thought of her warm bed back home, the store's familiar smells. Here, everything felt real, the chill in the air, the silence broken only by distant cows mooing. Was this her life now? Scrubbing floors, milking animals, all while her body ached from the work it wasn't used to? Days blurred into a routine. Jack rose before dawn, his boots thudding softly on the floor. He'd make coffee, strong and black, and leave a cup for her. Emily would wake to the scent, her body heavy with sleep. She'd help where she could, gathering eggs, weeding the small garden behind the house. Her dresses got dirty, her hands blistered. But Jack was patient. He showed her how to feed the chickens. His voice calm. "Take it slow, Emily. No rush." He wasn't what she expected. No yelling, no demands. Instead, he talked about the land, how the soil felt alive under his fingers, how the stars looked brighter out here. Evenings, they'd sit on the porch, watching fireflies dance. Jack would whittle wood, shaping little animals, while Emily read aloud from her books. "You have a nice voice," he'd say, his eyes softening, like music. Emily started to notice things. Jack's stroke might be old, but it ran smooth. The barn held tools that looked new, shiny even, and the fields the fields stretched farther than she thought. From the house, they seemed small, but one day, she wandered out, her curiosity pulling her. The path led through a gate, and suddenly, the land opened up. Acres upon acres of corn swaying in the breeze, wheat fields golden under the sun. It didn't make sense. This wasn't a poor man's plot. Back at the house, she asked him over supper a simple meal of stew and bread she'd baked. "Jack, how do you manage all this?" "I thought. Well, folks say you're poor." He paused, his spoon halfway to his mouth. A small smile tugged at his lips. "Poor? In money, maybe once. But Emily, I've got land, thousands of acres, passed down from my granddad. I keep it quiet. I don't like the attention. Sell crops quiet like, invest smart. The house is simple cause I like it that way. No need for show." Emily stared, her mind spinning. Thousands of acres? He wasn't poor, he was wealthy, in the way that mattered out here. Land meant security, freedom. Her father had given her away as punishment, thinking he doomed her to hardship. But Jack had chosen this life, and now, he'd chosen her. The twist settled over her gently, like morning mist on the fields. She looked at him and his strong shoulders, the way his eyes crinkled when he laughed. "Why me, then?" she asked softly. "Why agree to this?" Jack set down his spoon, his gaze steady. "Your father came to me, ranting about punishment. But I saw you in town once, Emily, reading by the creek, looking peaceful. I figured, maybe we could find peace together. No judgment here, just us and the land." Tears welled in her eyes, but they were different now, and not from sorrow, but from the warmth blooming in her chest. For the first time, she felt seen, not as a burden, but as a partner. As weeks turned to months, winter came soft and white. Snow blanketed the fields, turning the world quiet. Emily's body adapted. She grew stronger, her curves still there but carrying her with grace. She baked pies for Jack, apple and peach, the kitchen filling with sweet aromas. He taught her to drive the tractor, his hand over hers on the wheel. Laughter echoed in the barn as they stacked hay. One evening, by the fire, Jack took her hand. "Emily," he said, his voice low, "I love you. Not for what you look like, but for who you are. Kind, smart, with a heart as big as these hills." She leaned in, her lips meeting his for the first time. It was soft, unhurried, like the life they were building. "I love you too, Jack," she whispered. This is home." Spring brought new life. Flowers bloomed in the garden Emily tended, and the fields burst with green. Word got back to Willow Creek, whispers of Jack's hidden wealth, of Emily's glowing happiness. Her father visited once, hat in hand, mumbling apologies. But Emily just smiled. "It's okay, Father. What you meant as punishment became my blessing." Years passed in that slow rhythm of the land. Emily and Jack had children, 2 boys and a girl, all with her soft cheeks and his kind eyes. The farm thrived, not just in crops, but in love. Emily wrote stories in her journal, tales of second chances, reading them to the kids by lamplight. And on quiet nights, as stars wheeled overhead, Emily would sit on the porch with Jack, their hands entwined. She thought back to that gray wedding day, how fear had gripped her. Now, gratitude filled her soul. Life wasn't about fitting in, it was about finding where you belonged. In the vast acres of their hidden paradise, they had found each other, and that was wealth beyond measure.